this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Geekadores show. I'm Rick, and we've got
Joey.
And later, in the other half of the podcast, we'll have Sergio. I didn't do it. I didn't put the, when I was editing everything, I ran out of time. I was like, I can't find a good, ding. I should just use record my own voice. Ding.
Maybe.
So, if you're new to the podcast, we're just a couple, I guess, 3 geeks now. Talk about random
trio.
stuff. Sergio and I usually talk about comics, and Joey and I just kind of pick up everything else that's kind of geeky out there.
Games, movies, TV shows.
Yeah, exactly. So, what we try to do is just give a little bit of news here and there, and then go on some topics that hopefully you guys will enjoy. But yeah, we decided early this year to combine. We used to do separate podcasts.
Right.
Well, like same podcast, the Geekadores show, but on 2 weeks out of the month it would be just comics, and 2 weeks out of the month it would be Joey and I talk about everything else. But now we've got a longer podcast and talking about everything. So enjoy.
All right.
And we'll just get into it. I mean, news-wise, the Super Bowl just happened.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about it. But there was some cool stuff that came out during the commercials. And I just want to point out, if you haven't watched it yet, there's a very short new trailer for Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Which was really good. I won't get into the specifics, but definitely go check it out. And then the other one that stood out to me, genre-wise, was the Twilight Zone trailer.
I didn't see that one yet.
Oh, it's so good. The whole thing is
Is
just...
that the one with Jordan Peele?
It's Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele is taking over for, what was the name of the guy?
Rod Serling.
Rod Serling. So he's going to be hosting the show. And just the way, his tone of his voice and the way they present him, I'm just like, it's very Rod Serling-like. I like it. But yeah, the whole trailer, like the trailer for it, I don't want to reveal too much about it, so definitely go check it out. You should, Joey. It's really cool. Just what they did is pretty awesome, because it feels like you're watching the game and then something happens.
Huh.
So...
All right.
So I won't get into it. Other news, freaking Deadpool 2 is now it has made more money than any other X-Men movie ever. Ever.
So greatest X-Men.
Right? He is the greatest X-Men. So hey, Disney, keep him rated R. Damn it.
I don't know how much did Once Upon a Deadpool make though?
Not that much.
No,
it kind of bombed, I think. And then in China,
damn it, Fred Savage.
I heard in China, and I've been trying to find information about this, but it sounds like they released the Once Upon a Deadpool version as Deadpool 2.
Oh, really?
Like they never released so I don't know if that's true or not, but when I was reading something, I'm like, wait, what? Huh. What else? Aquaman is now the highest grossing DC movie. Not just DCEU, whatever you want to call it, but DC. It surpassed The Dark Knight. Or The Dark Knight Rises, I think, made more than The Dark Knight. Man. But I'm just like, that's crazy. You still haven't seen it, right?
No.
It's a fun movie.
I'm not going to pay to watch that.
Oh, I'd go see it. I'd pay to go see it again. It was that much fun. What else do we have in news? Do you have anything? Just
games.
really quick. Huh?
Let's see. No, not that I don't know. I came here to talk about some game stuff, and I'm trying to think of any other. Like you covered the Avengers trailer. That was the only thing I was going to.
Man, you're slacking. You know we do news in the beginning.
The Piranha Plant came out for Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Did you get it yet?
Yes. Well, I haven't played it. I just know because my son was yelling, "We got the Piranha Plant!"
It's not time sensitive because I got the code, but I haven't done it yet.
Well, I think you had to register to get the code before the end of January.
Yeah, and I got the code.
So as long as you put it in input on through the Nintendo eShop,
right?
You could just get it whenever you want.
Oh.
But you just had to register the game through your Switch,
right? Which I did already. So good.
Yeah,
good. All right. Besides that, this week we got is it Battle? What's that movie called?
Battle Angel Alita? Or Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So that movie's coming out this week. It's been kind of...
People think it's gonna
yeah, people think it's gonna bomb so badly. I might go see it on Thursday, but I haven't decided yet.
I'm guessing it's gonna hinge on international.
You think?
Yeah.
You think it'll do good internationally?
Depends on how flashbang it looks.
Oh.
Flashbang,
And
like special
right.
effects.
And then some TV news. Apparently, that Picard show.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Just wanted. I was looking it up while you're talking. China did get the PG-13 Once Upon a Deadpool edition as their Deadpool 2.
Lame.
Because, they have such strong censorship
Right.
there.
So maybe that's why they made it.
In China, the film is called Deadpool 2 I Love My Home.
Oh, okay. Well, back to TV news.
Sorry, I just find that really
I just
funny.
think that's hilarious. I do love it when they completely change the name of movies.
Now I want to see a Deadpool home improvement show.
That's not where it went in my head, but that's way better than I was thinking. No, so what I was saying was that Picard show. I can't remember. Are you into Star Trek? Do you enjoy Star Trek? So I don't know if you heard, but
I think I kind of stopped. They lost me with Voyager. I tried coming back for Enterprise, and they lost me with Enterprise with the time shenanigans. And it's like you're going too high tech, and you're doing too much too soon. This is before all the awesome. Like you want to see them build up the Federation.
What do you mean, like Discovery? Is that what you're referring to, or
no, Enterprise?
Enterprise?
Yeah.
Well, apparently Discovery's worse because
I know, I
got.
heard.
But I guess they're going to explain, if they haven't already, why they're so high tech
Parallel
at this
universe.
point. Possibly.
Everything breaks down. They're like, God damn, this high tech.
Klingons! I don't know. But the Picard show, apparently it's going to be the next generation kind of feel, but it's
no
after
longer-
he's
yeah.
no longer captain.
See, I would assume, because in a lot of the stuff when they went to they showed glimpses of the future in Next Generation, they always had Picard as an admiral.
Right.
And like the captain of the Enterprise would be like Riker or Data or somebody.
Yeah.
So
who
I
knows?
I don't know.
It'll be interesting. I feel like Star Trek is starting to have issues because before it would be, there'd be a TV show and then we get a bunch of movies, then a
Right.
TV show,
Yeah.
then a bunch of movies, then just a bunch of TV shows. But it was very easy to keep it within continuity.
Right.
And I think now they're trying to do so much stuff, kind of like Marvel did with their TV shows. They're on different channels and all that stuff. It's hard to keep it all together anymore. They're trying too many different ideas that don't make sense because I believe what happened with the now Kelvin timeline with the reboot of the movies.
All right.
I think that was the catalyst for them to try all this new cool
Right.
stuff.
They're just seeing what sticks.
Yeah, but I don't understand why make Discovery be placed in the past, because now you're getting all these issues.
Speaking of which, different versions. I have not picked it up because I haven't read comics in a while because I have no money, but and no time. So those two things.
You need both those things for pretty much anything.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
don't do anything anymore.
But apparently they did a Transformers and Star Trek crossover in the comics.
Yeah.
And the Enterprise is a Transformer.
What?
I want to watch that version on the
You're
screen.
never gonna get that on
I
screen.
want anime Star Trek Transformers.
It's a hoop dream. You're not getting it.
And that Enterprise better have a wave motion cannon, like straight out of Star Blazers / Space Battleship Yamato / the SDF one from Macro. I want to see a transforming giant robot Enterprise, and Picard makes it so, and it shoots a wave motion gun. It's my dream Star Trek now.
All right. Well, that's
Since we're doing all these other versions,
well. If that's the case, there's so many different versions that need to happen. So, all right. I think that's enough for news today. We'll be better prepared next time, Joey, for news. We're just gonna shoot them out. We'll be like bing, 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 bing. News, and then
I'm just gonna say news.
If that's your prerogative, you can go ahead and do it, and I will give people actual news.
It's like Princess Unikitty in the Lego Movie when she's giving the business meeting, and she's like, business, numbers.
Oh, okay. Well, then I can't depend on Joey for news for the podcast moving forward. So I will do a separate segment called Last Week in Geek. I'm copying off of
that sounds
what's his
familiar.
face, the guy from the British guy. He does that Last Week.
British guy.
The Last Week update. He's on HBO.
Jonathan Oliver.
Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause
Last week tonight.
Last week tonight, because he
Yeah.
covers all of last week in one night.
I love that dude. It's fun.
So yeah, we're copying his idea. We're gonna do because I think it's more manageable
No,
for us.
we're inspired by his idea.
No, I'm straight up copying his idea. So if he sues me or tells me to cease and desist, I will have to. I do not.
And then we'll come back with the previous time frame in nerddom.
All right, that's our plan B. You heard it here first. If we get cease and desist.
Yes, previous recent times.
All right. It just keeps going. We'll have plan C, D, E, and then we'll eventually just get past now.
I like it. That's snappy.
Past now. All right, let's get into the topics before we run out of time here.
All right.
But you wanted to do a lot of video game stuff. I want to talk about... I had this idea for what they should do with the X-Men franchise once Disney gets it.
Blow it up and start over.
Well, that's the initial idea, but
All right.
what they should do. But all right,
Hey, they should do the Dark Phoenix saga. I don't think they've done that before.
you can't see me, but I'm staring at him like, ugh, come on, man. All right, I'll let you start
Okay, because
right now I'm a little aggravated by his comment about the Dark Phoenix saga. So why don't you start with your video game stuff?
All right. This past weekend was the open demo for Anthem, which is probably one of the biggest games coming out soon.
All right.
Anthem is basically EA's version of Destiny, and you got guys in armor shooting monsters from a main hub and collecting. It's a loot shooter.
All right.
They're trying to differentiate it by making everyone Iron Man. So
So that's what it is. They're all wearing suits like Iron Man.
Yes,
suits.
instead of just like armor, the suits are. It's that kind of mecha where it's not like giant mechs. It's like your body is in the torso, but the legs and arms are like.
So Iron Man.
Well, Iron Man's arms are in the arms and his legs are in the legs, though.
Wait, say that? Okay.
It's like that size of mech where you're almost contained entirely in the torso.
Oh, really?
Like, yes.
All right. I didn't get that from some of the trailers I've seen.
Because like your legs go in there a little, but they stop at like the knees because they show the legs of these mechs kind of the weird, almost like animal-like reverse joint looking deal.
What was that one game that came a while ago that was like an Xbox exclusive at first? Titanfall. Is it something similar?
No, Titanfall scale is much bigger.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's much bigger than this, But yeah, so I guess it's in between Titanfall and Iron Man armor, right in between that size. That's the mech suits in this, and like I call it an Iron Man Destiny game because they really want you to fly around a lot. So because I don't know if is the NDA still in there for the alpha.
I don't know.
Okay, there was an alpha. I'm not saying if I was in it or not, but there was an alpha, and
smooth.
And it was a limited access alpha.
See, we are going to get cease and desist letters, but it's because of what Joey says.
But from what I've seen online from officially released videos, it's very vertically oriented. They want you flying around and doing 3D using height and diving and dodging and stuff, as well as just running around and shooting stuff.
Like during battles?
Yes, like both flying, like getting to battles and during battles. They want you to make it more of a 3D thing than something like Destiny.
That'll be cool.
So it's very cool, and that's really the appeal of it. Is you're in a multiplayer online loot shooter as Iron Man.
I heard from what I've read is they're taking a lot of feedback from.
I hope so because
from their betas and their alphas because. I don't remember specifically what it was that they changed, but there were certain aspects to the game that completely reworked because of the feedback they got.
Oh, well, right now the feedback seems to be that the guns are underpowered, and everything, all the main damage you're going to be doing relies on powers. So they still have it's coming out the 22nd, but if you have the early access stuff, you could play the 15th of February. That is. So they still have some time to tweak, and it's just tweaking stuff like weapons damage is just changing a config file. So that's stuff they can do before the release very easily.
Well, in a game like this, I feel it's so huge in scope that even once it releases, I give them a little bit of leeway to kind of tweak things here and there because like if it's a game like, let's say, the Spider-Man game or Kingdom Hearts 3, it's supposed to be a contained, story-driven game. I don't want to be getting updates like crazy. I do love, though, that they didn't release the epilogue to the game until it released because it was so secret. They didn't want people knowing what it was.
Okay.
Because you know how the game leaked overseas in the UK.
Right.
They started selling it way before it was supposed to. But they didn't get the final ending because of that. So they're still upset. The director of the game said that he's contemplating never releasing a physical copy version of any game he creates ever again.
Wow.
But he was so upset about that. But yeah, going back to Anthem.
Okay, so some of the other issues are that one, they always get slammed. The servers get completely ground to a halt when it's the first date that the demo's open, and that's like every online game is like that.
Yeah, I think that at this point, people that get upset about this, just kind of like, it's going to happen. There's no way to avoid it because you don't know how many people are going to jump on at once.
Right. And then the third thing I heard are performance issues. They're saying the demo is not based on their latest code. It's based on a previous iteration, so it's not fully optimized. Because they're saying on Xbox, the Xbox One S and had the worst performance where like frame rate was like 19 to 24 frames per second, which is not good.
In this day and age?
That is not good. They said the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro had decent performance and frame rates. Although they said if you're running it at 4K, you're getting maybe 30 frames per second consistently. And if you have the PC with the latest and greatest, of course you can run it well. But they're saying they designed it for consoles first, and both the PS4 and the Xbone run on 8-core processors. Most PCs run on 4-core processors unless you're getting the latest iteration of the processors. So they're saying that is the roadblock for PC players, is if you don't have a newer gen processor, that's going to limit your performance compared to, even if you have an awesome video card, compared to a console. So there are limiting factors on all the platforms, and hopefully they'll optimize that. And then the last thing I'm going to say, because I know I don't want to take up the whole podcast with this, is that a neat trick that Electronic Arts did, and Origin is their online service for PC, is they offer a subscription service called Origin Access, or EA Access on consoles, and Origin Access on the PC. So they had Origin Access Basic, and they have Origin Access Premier. The main difference is there are more free games available in Premier, and Premier lets you play new releases as well as their back catalog, even before they're released. They were offering Basic, though, for 99 cents for the first month this weekend to coincide with the with the Anthem demo, open demo. So, which was a great marketing tool, because you get to play their entire back catalog, well, most of their back catalog of games available on there, and you get 10 hours of their latest releases, and then you get like a 10% discount if you want to buy the games outright.
See, that's awesome because you get to test out the game and not just like a half-hour demo.
No,
10 hours is a good chunk.
Yeah.
And does that, let's say, is it 10 hours per month?
Or is it 10 hours per game?
All right.
Per latest release, and then once it's not considered.
So you can actually, if there's like 3 releases in 1 month, you can play 10 hours of that game.
Yes.
What if the game is less than 10 hours?
Well, then you can complete it.
It's
because it's basically just a timer. You could, so when Anthem comes out on the 22nd, you get 10 hours to play. Well, actually, I think if you subscribe, whether it's Basic or Premier, you get to access Anthem on the PC on the 15th, a week early.
Mark my words. If they start losing sales of certain games that are less than 10 hours, they're going to change it to 10 hours per month per account.
That would stink.
I'm telling you, it's.
Well, I know, or they'll just stagger like big releases, so they're not.
Or not allow it for certain games that are clock in under 8 hours, or 10 hours.
So I mean, that's really cool, because right now it's 10 hours per game per new release, and I think it's on a per game basis whether they allow that on the Basic plan. So it's $1 for the first month. After that's $5 a month. Still not bad.
Not bad at all.
And then the Premier one is $15 a month, but you have basically all the games they have available, including new releases. And for something like Anthem, they're even saying you get to play it a week ahead of everyone else. And that's actually not bad.
Huge. That's huge.
That's a pretty decent deal there. Or it's like a $99 a year or $15 a month. So I could especially for games where I burn out after a month, that would be great to pay $15 a month, play a game, and then just suspend the subscription or cancel the subscription until the next time I want to try something.
Right, and it's also with you. You don't usually finish a game. You'll play something here and then pick it up later, and you have it all in one catalog.
Yeah.
And you do suspend it for a while and then come back. You can still keep playing.
So to me, that sounds like a really good deal. And that's actually, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the way I'm going to play this game because, one, you get to play it earlier, and two, it's a lot cheaper than shelling out full price for it.
Speaking of like just different subscription plans like that, I just want to give another shout out to PlayStation Plus because of all the free games that I get. They just released For Honor.
Oh, really? That's a solid game.
So I'm excited to try that out. But yeah, unfortunately, they're getting rid of PS3 and Vita games in I think at the end of this year or in 2020. So it's just gonna be PS4 games. But I'm just like, that's fine with me. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of remasters, but I'm like, whatever. Right. If I don't own it already, that's cool. All right. You got anything else?
No, that was the game news I want to touch on because it's the big thing coming out this month.
Sweet. Yeah, no, that's cool. If I ever get that PC, I might get an account there. It would make sense to do so.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was when they announced that, Marvel was buying, or Disney was buying Fox. It's like, I can't wait to see all these characters come over and everything. X-Men, and they'll, like you said before, just to explode it all and start over.
Right.
Which they should. They shouldn't keep any of the actors. A completely fresh start. And the more and more I thought about it, I started thinking, oh man, you know what would be best for the X-Men? And then I started kind of hearing this or reading articles about people kind of thinking the same way that I was thinking, and even what's his name, James McAvoy.
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 Yeah.
He even mentioned that he thinks that Disney's going to go in a completely different route with releasing X-Men content.
All right.
So what I was thinking originally, it was only Wolverine that I thought, like X-Men, make some movies, whatever, but turn Wolverine into a TV series on Disney Plus because Wolverine is one of those characters that has so much going on backstory-wise, and he has a whole nother life that's not part of the X-Men. Stuff that he does, you could turn it into like in the sense of the old Incredible Hulk show.
I was just gonna mention.
Yeah, where he's just out in the wilderness or out in the country.
How small towns.
Right, just doing stuff like being Logan, being Wolverine, but then he comes back and joins up with the X-Men for the movies, and it's the same actor.
I hope they keep the sad walking away music from the Hulk.
They have to.
Poor Logan walking down the street all sad.
But that's what I was just like, I think that'd be perfect for the Logan character because you could have the same actor who does a TV show, and then for the movies, he shows up where he's needed.
Right.
And there's always references to X-Men. You could always have certain X-Men characters show up. Whether, start the series where he's not even part of the X-Men and he joins the X-Men eventually. Like, he's not even the first movie.
Right.
Like, really take advantage of that Disney Plus cinematic universe.
Right.
Coherence.
Well, have they said that Kevin Feige in charge of the Disney Plus? Okay. Okay. So that's how they could do that.
That's why they're doing that. Which I'm like, this is a prime opportunity. And then somebody in this article mentioned, why don't they do that with all the X-Men, or like create an X-Men TV show rather than a movie? And I'm like, I think out of all the Marvel characters, X-Men lends itself more to a TV show than a movie because for the X-Men, there's so many characters and their storylines is always like a continuous progression, and you need more time to tell that story. I think one of the issues with the movies themselves is if you've got this limited 2-hour, 3-hour scope where you got to have all this stuff happen. In a TV show, you would be able to develop way better.
And then Deadpool will occasionally just show up.
Right.
And be like, I'm in a TV show?
Right, exactly. How awesome would that be? So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think we should be getting X-Men movies, or should they keep it on the,
I think maybe
Disney Plus
I don't know, maybe they could test the waters because I think if they're gonna blow up the whole thing and start over again, don't go right to movies. I think they need to take it a little more slowly to build it up, kind of like how they built up the Avengers by doing all the separate movies.
Right. So I don't know, like you could start off with a Wolverine movie.
Or maybe
a TV show.
Or maybe make their flagship X-Men TV show about the Xavier Academy. Or the what is it? Xavier Institute or
Xavier Institute for Gifted Children.
Yes. And just call it like the Institute.
Oh, that just sounds wrong. I am part of the Institute.
Yes. Okay. Call it Gifted.
That's a TV show, sir. The Gifted?
I don't know.
It's on Fox. Thursdays at... No, I don't know.
I guess you can't really just call it children. That's weird.
That is weird. Well, yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's
just
like,
call it X.
Well, here's my thing with the whole trying... And this is what happened with Netflix, is they couldn't really bring a lot of the characters to the movies because... there's people out there that probably weren't watching the shows, so you can't correlate the stories, huh?
Yeah, that's their problem.
Well, I agree. I will watch it all. But with the X-Men, if they're going to do this right, it has to be, like you're saying, a very specific, like fraction of or section of the X-Men universe, where it's they can do their own storylines, everything, kind of like because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of works in this sense where they do their own thing, but are affected by what happens in the movies. But what I want to see is a little bit more integration between the shows. Like if you're watching the show and the movies, you're getting this whole different experience that you wouldn't if you were just watching one or the other.
Well, see, this is how I would do it if I was rebooting the X-Men as a TV show. Do it My Hero Academia style. Make the flagship show, like I said, about the Xavier Institute for Gifted Children, and follow a core group of first-year students to the Institute, or like first-year like high school student age students to the Institute. So you're learning, they could be lesser-known characters, so you're learning stuff along with them to introduce people to how the new X-Men Marvel Universe looks, feels, and acts, the way everything works. And then they could introduce like the professors and the well-known characters, and they could have their own shows or whatever. But that way you could kind of set the foundation for how everything is.
Well, the way I thought of it was very similar to that, but in the idea that the movies would be the Avengers. Like that's where it all comes together, and there's maybe a storyline within all the X-Men shows. Like let's say we have three shows. There's like a connected storyline that's not important for that specific show's overall arc, but it all comes together. Or do a thing where you do the first season and it's actually the X-Men. It's like their first year and everything, and they kind of move up, and then they in the movie, like the show leads up to like this big the big story arc or whatever, like the final conclusion. And then every year it's like a new class, and some of those people are
have graduated
to X-Men, so they can be in the movies now.
Yeah, see? That would be cool.
Awesome.
And that would allow you to mix and match the roster or allow for roster changes.
And then you could easily have, just like quick shots of Xavier or the other X-Men as teachers.
Right.
Like through the hallways or something like that. Or just a little mention. It's just like, man, the blue team already left. It's like, we're just stuck here to take care.
Yeah, show a peek behind like the day-to-day life of what it's like being one of these kids.
But like, make it where the actors, they're going to be in the movies, are contracted to show up.
Yeah, that way the big stuff happens in the movies, and the TV show is like, this is what it's like when they're not out saving the world.
Because when Nick Fury in season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when Nick Fury shows up in the season finale, blew my mind. I was like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. That was the end. They didn't really do much more with that connectivity, but I was just like, oh man, the potential there is it's just
Plus, think of how much more invested it would be if you're following the TV show, so you know all the stuff that a character has been through, and then suddenly they're on the big screen and they're fighting for their life against some world-ending horror.
Right. And what originally sparked this whole idea in my head was that Star Wars thing I'm doing, where I'm reading all the supplemental media, all the supplemental like comic books, TV shows, and novels between the Star Wars movies, before and between and after. And it has given me so much more of an appreciation for the prequels, which Joey hates the prequels. They don't exist in his mind. But after reading...
Prequels? Like Rogue One?
Anyways, after reading the comics that come beforehand and some of the stuff in between, it's just like the characters...
Like Solo?
The characters make so much... I'm just ignoring you, all right? No, there's just so much more depth to them. Even Darth Maul. Like, I love Darth Maul because of the way...
Star Wars Rebels?
Can I finish? So, no, Darth Maul... I feel like that was the greatest injustice of the prequels, killing him off in the first movie. Spoilers. And if you have, yeah, I know. And they bring him back in
Solo.
in Clone Wars and Solo. But what I'm saying is, there's comics before before Episode 1 that gives a whole backstory to where his mind is before going into Episode 1, and it just gives it so much more depth. I'm really, really enjoying it. I still think Jar Jar Binks is annoying, but not to the point that I used to. I'm just like, all right, he's tolerable. There's aliens in this universe that are just gonna, they're just gonna be annoying, whatever. But it didn't take me out of the movie like it used to.
Huh.
So I'm gonna keep going. I'm to the Clone Wars animated series, and that's gonna take me a while. So we'll see how that goes, and then I get into Episode 3. But yeah, having an expanded universe that's not just within the movies for whatever property, I think it really, if you do it right, can really create an experience that's like nothing else.
All right.
So yeah. All right. Well, I think with that we'll call it a day. But do you have anything else before we head over and talk comics with Sergio?
Gotta add that in. No, that's it.
All right. So, yeah, definitely check out, what was it called again? The
Origin Access and Anthems. Like I said, I'd like to see reviews come out, because I think they're going to release it early enough that reviews will be out before the official release of the game. But even then, though, for a PC player at least, $5 for a 10 hours
That's
of
awesome.
gameplay
That's
is
awesome.
a great way to test it, and $15 if you like it is also a great way to play it.
Yeah. The only thing I have to say is really throwing a question out to all our listeners, like post it on our Facebook. But what do you think should happen with the X-Men franchise once Disney gets it? It sounds like it's going to be this summer now that they'll officially have it. So I'm sure we'll hear some.
They should base it off of Cypher from New Mutants with the power to understand languages.
Speaking of New Mutants, it sounds like they're going to release that on Hulu now.
The horror movie New Mutants?
Right? Yeah, because it's going back for...
I'm curious, because the whole horror movie aspect of it makes me want to watch it more than anything else.
But that's the thing. It's like, who knows? They could easily put more mature rated or just Marvel Cinematic Universe shows on Hulu. They have Runaways on there, and they can incorporate it more into the cinematic universe if now
hopefully.
Disney's going to own a majority stake of Hulu.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Huh.
All right. Well, I think we'll cut it off there. We'll be back shortly with Sergio, and we're going to be talking some comics. We're going to update you on what's going on in all the Spider-Man comics, and Sergio has some inquiries on the Sandman universe comics and whatnot, and I am going to cover Marvel Presents, the new comic that just came out, which is an anthology series of different Marvel characters, which is really cool. So, all right, we'll be back after this short break. Dude, I didn't stop recording yet.
I don't even know what that song's from. It's from a 70s game show, but I can't remember which one it is.
We'll be back. Hey everyone, welcome back. We're here for the second part of the Geekadores podcast, where we're going to be talking about comic books and pretty much anything comic related. Just want to say hi to my cousin Sergio. How you doing, man?
Yo, dude, doing pretty good. I survived the Arctic blast we had this week over here in the Midwest.
Dude, how was that? The polar vortex or something that they were calling it?
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, man. Like the heaters were running like 24/7 inside the house, and like when I went outside, I had my face completely covered and ski goggles on, so I figured out how to survive it.
Yeah, I remember my mom. Well, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "Have you seen that photo of Sergio on Facebook?" It's like he's doing it right. I don't even imagine going outside in this cold.
Yeah, I couldn't feel the wind hit me with the ski goggles on, so that was a perfect polar vortex hack.
So is that what you were wearing to work?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I was walking around downtown with my ski goggles on, and I did not feel stupid because I wasn't cold.
Ah, dude, I've just seen so many photos and everything, and then, like I said, I was talking to my mom, and she's just like, "How's the weather over there?" I'm like, should I tell her that I thought about wearing shorts today?
Oh, jeez.
How different, the other side of the country can make.
People are wearing shorts today, though. It got up to 40, so.
That's what they were saying. I'm just like, what the heck? Like over here, if it's at 50, people freak out and they're starting wearing coats and stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, no, are you kidding me? Back home, that's short weather.
Yeah, shorts and a hoodie, maybe.
Well, good. I remember last time you were saying you were fighting a cold, so it sounds like you're doing way better.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten like rid of it 99%. Probably still a tiny bit, but man.
Freaking cold. This time of year is just ridiculous. Everything just, you get the cold, you get freaking polar vortexes and stuff that just how cold did it get? Because the last time I checked it was like -20 on like Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I think it got I think the high was like -26 or 28, something like that.
Yeah,
and it set the record.
What was that?
It set the record for the month, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Of the coldest day.
Yeah, they were predicting like -40 and -50 at one point. I was like, good God. Hopefully everyone's okay back home.
Like north of us, I think it got to there, but yeah, my car wasn't starting. Like I had to get it jump started for it to even go, and then it's like it didn't like it.
Yeah, I know a couple of people that I talked to that live back there still, and my family. A lot of them stayed home one of the days because it was just so bad.
Yeah, I got off work one day, and then the next day we had to go back like at 10, so a couple hours delay, but it was still freaking cold.
So this podcast has officially turned into the meteorologist podcast for Geekadores.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess let's just get into the comics. I know that you've been reading a lot of DC recently, but you did mention before we started that you're getting into some of the Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, I picked up the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and I was a big fan of the Brian Michael Bendis Miles Morales, so I picked up the new series they came out with, the new Miles Morales, and I'm digging that one too.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about it last time, but yeah, I'm doing. I think I mentioned this last time, but I don't know if we went into detail. So I'm getting there's 4 Spider-Man comics out right now. There's the Amazing Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then there's the Superior Spider-Man. I'm pretty far behind on Amazing Spider-Man because I think that came out like a year or two ago. But the other 3 kind of just recently started, so I'm caught up on all 3. I don't know where you're at. I think there's only been issues 1 and 2 have come out for all 3 series.
Yeah, I'm caught up on Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I haven't picked up Superior Octopus or Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, apparently that comic is interesting. It's Spider-Man in San Francisco. So,
okay.
And he's kind of it's Dr. Octopus, but he's taking a new persona, and it's like a cloned body that's part Peter Parker, part Octavius, and he's way younger. It's this whole thing. But the comic so far, it's been interesting. I read the first issue, was kind of like, it's all right, because the persona of Doc Ock is kind of funny because he still takes things a little too seriously. He's very analytical about everything. There's this one scene in the first comic where he just kind of ends the crisis because he has a presentation to give because he's a professor also. And so he just figures out a way to end it quickly so he can get there in time for the presentation because he's like, I'm not doing what Peter Parker does. I'm not going to sacrifice my personal life to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And then that issue ends with, what's the guy's name? It's this big, like, galactic villain. It's close to Drax. I should have looked this up. But anyways, so the second issue is just a full-on fight with this guy, back and forth, and they ended it with Superior Spider-Man stealing his powers, so getting this cosmic power. So he's just kind of standing there, freaking looking like Goku. Got
oh jeez,
for like freaking Super Saiyan, just going crazy. He's got all this power around him. So it kind of pulled me in the second issue. The first issue, I was kind of teetering. It's like, maybe I'll give it a few more issues. But the second issue, I'm like, all right, this could take it in a direction that I wasn't expecting. So
that's pretty cool.
I'll read a few more issues. But yeah, if it gets better, I'll let you know. So you definitely pick it up. But
Sweet.
With Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and the Miles Morales one, which one do you want to cover first?
Let's go with Miles.
All right.
Yep. So that one, what I really liked about it is that it just kind of follows on with where the Brian Michael Bendis story left off. So like, and it even recaps that in the whole like the first page of the comic, which I thought was really cool.
Do you know the whole story of when Miles Morales showed up in the Ultimate Universe?
I don't know.
Well, I know that they brought him. So have you been reading the last couple of years of Miles Morales comic?
Yeah.
Before Bendis left? Well, so Bendis created Miles Morales in the Ultimate Universe of Marvel because they killed off Spider-Man.
Right.
And so they introduced Miles Morales, and he ended up becoming the Spider-Man of that universe. And then when there was, I don't know, something happened and they pretty much killed off the universe. And then they did this. Yeah, so Miles Morales was gone, but people were like, we love that character. How can we bring him back? And they did this giant Secret Wars crossover with every character from Marvel. So they pretty much killed the Marvel universe as we knew it, and they rebooted it. And then by doing that, they brought some of the characters from the alternate universe, which was Miles Morales, into the regular Marvel universe. So that's why we ended up with two Spider-Men now, because I don't want to get too or move on too quickly, but there is one point where Miles Morales is pointing out that he is Spider-Man. He's not like a knockoff. He's Spider-Man, even though there is another Spider-Man, Peter Parker. So I was just like, that's funny. But yeah, so I wasn't sure if you knew the whole story beforehand.
Yeah, no, I remember now with the whole Secret Wars. He played a huge part in that.
Right, and, right.
He was supposed to kill Captain America.
Yeah.
And that's why, what's her name? I'm having a brain fart, but the lady was going to have the movie coming out in Marvel. Captain Marvel.
Oh, wait, no, you're thinking of Civil War 2 or
oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Civil War 2.
Yeah, so at that point, I think he was part of the Marvel Universe. But no, I mean, when they introduced Miles Morales in the Ultimate Universe, I followed him for a while, and this is like, oh, that's not great new take on Spider-Man. So let's get into the new series. I'll let you take it from here if you just want to kind of cover the first couple of issues.
Well, yeah, like I thought it was really cool that they're following the Bendis storyline. So like, you know, his dad is still an ex-SHIELD agent, and not really even ex, because they kind of like have scenes here and there where he's kind of talking to Nick Fury and talking to all kinds of different what do you call it, SHIELD agents. So that's kind of cool. His uncle has the Iron Spider armor.
Wait, is that in the new issues? Because they didn't cover that.
They mention it. They mention it. Like, they don't show it, but they mention it in that.
I do remember this, like a quick one-shot splash page. Okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool, because that's kind of like where the last issues of the Bendis series ended on. was with Miles being real conflicted on whether to kick his uncle's ass or not, and you know, so that was really cool. I love that Gonki is still in here. They do have another roommate though, which will probably take some getting used to because he doesn't know Miles is Spider-Man.
Right.
Same girlfriend though, isn't it?
I don't know. I like with the series that came before this. I didn't read it at all, so I don't like. I didn't know that his dad was an ex-Shield agent, and I also didn't know that his uncle had the Iron Spider costume. So when I read,
that wasn't.
Go ahead.
That didn't happen until like the very end of that series when we find out all that stuff.
Well, that was the thing. When I picked up the first issue of this new series and read that one page, I was just like, "Wait, what?" There's so much backstory. I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, I didn't really need it after reading the first 2 issues. I feel like I'm pretty caught up.
Yeah, no, they did a good job of getting people caught up on that. So yeah, that's what I'm real excited about that. About it is following the same storyline because I thought it was a super good storyline. I'd gotten every issue of that series, and but yeah, this one is kind of. I'm pretty sure it's the same girlfriend, even though they're not like technically dating. But that's another cool thing with Miles is they go into his like real life story, like what happens to him aside from being Spider-Man, and
Right.
And then we find out that his girlfriend's is it her cousin?
Yeah, her little cousin's visiting.
Yeah, he's in some kind of secret little kid gang that and they have these power suits. Powerful enough to stop Spider-Man and the Rhino, so
Well, it looks like they're being controlled. So I don't know.
definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if they got kidnapped or what. Well, I mean, there's a whole scene in the second issue where he's missing, and his quote unquote girlfriend just doesn't come to school, so he goes to look for her.
Yeah. So then Spider-Man says, "Oh, I'll go help. I'll find him," and
I thought that scene was great where he runs into the Rhino. Just because he automatically thinks that Rhino's a villain, but he later finds out that he's trying to find his girlfriend's niece.
Yeah.
And they throw in this whole backstory that I don't know if they've developed it in other comics, but that Rhino had a girlfriend, she passed away, and the only way he feels close to keeping her in his life is by protecting her niece. And I'm just like, wait, what? This is the Rhino? I thought just smashed things.
I've never really heard any backstories on him. Yeah, he always just shows up and is wrecking stuff, and that's about it until he gets stopped somehow. So that was kind of cool. They build him into the storyline, and him and Miles form the classic Marvel team up, where they fight at first and then decide they're kind of on the same mission, and bam, team up.
What's great is Rhino, they don't really specify ages, but he's so much older. I gotta say he's got to be like in his mid-40s or something like that, while Miles is like, what, teen still?
Yeah.
And so there's all this banter going back and forth of Miles pointing out how old he is, and then him pointing out that he's a child and all this. It's at one point when they're supposed to meet up at 10 p.m., I remember him like, "Oh, so your parents actually let you out of the house?" I'm sitting there going, poor Miles. Doesn't get taken seriously.
Nope. Until he uses his Venom Blast, that's when
right. Oh,
all the other villains take him seriously.
His powers are pretty awesome.
Yeah. But it's a pretty cool team up, and they're kind of on the same mission to find out who's kidnapping these kids and why they have power suits of some sort, and what they're going to be doing, because they do catch them trying to rob a truck with some kind of device in it, huh?
Yeah. There's also that very last scene in the second issue where they find out that Tombstone, the mob guy, is involved in some way, but it seems like he's not the one that kidnapped the kids and all that. It sounds like he bought the kids from somebody else. Like, this person is selling the kids to be used as, I don't know, weapons and stuff like that in different villains' gangs.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate henchman, they say, because a cop's not going to want to shoot a kid pretty much,
Right.
and a superhero is not going to want to punch out a kid. So Tombstone kind of says, "Oh, it's the perfect henchman."
So I wanted to ask you. There's kind of like the narration of the comic is done by Miles through a journal that he's writing, that he kind of put together because of a writing class that he's in class or in school. And there's some cool tidbits here. He's kind of, just speaking his mind and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering, I'm guessing the teacher doesn't see this. The teacher told him, it's like, just have a journal, write in it, express your feelings, put your thoughts, like just whatever it is, and then don't show it to anybody. But I'm afraid that at some point, someone's going to find this and find out that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It just seems too obvious.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, the first person I'm thinking might be the roommate or the girlfriend that are going to find the journal.
I'm thinking the girlfriend, because
probably.
the roommate's in the same class, so maybe he'll be more like, I shouldn't be reading that type of thing because I don't want him reading mine. But we'll see. Mm-hmm. I mean, overall, I really love this comic, especially the story's great so far, and I really like the fact of that the art is just awesome.
The drawing's on point.
It's one of those things where, we've talked about this in the past, that a comic, no matter how great a story is, if it has horrible art, it can take you away from the comic itself. But this, reading it, I feel like I'm watching, or like I'm back in the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie. It just feels very fluid. It doesn't look as crazy as that movie, but it just feels fluid, and the way the art works and everything, it's great.
Oh yeah, they definitely do a good job, and all the covers are sick too.
Yeah, but I noticed, and this is one of my big pet peeves about comics these days, is so far they've had, anyways, from the issues that I'm getting on Comixology, they have the issues that come out in regular retail. I know most comics these days come out with variants.
Right.
But I noticed that it's not the same artist. And the thing that annoys me sometimes is I want the artist that does the comic book to do the covers. Because there's been issues, and I'm fine with variants, but there's been times when I go and I see the cover and I'm like, oh man, this looks awesome. And then I go read the comic and it's completely different artist inside, and I'm just like, this is not the art I was expecting whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that happens quite a bit. But I really like the cover to number 2. It's got I don't know if I got the variant or I got the regular one, but it shows like Miles, and he's kind of like balancing all his whole life.
Yeah, that's
Spider-Man.
That's the regular cover. That's the one I got.
That's the regular one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and I think that one and the first issue have covers by the artist in the book, but in Comixology they show you the covers for the next few issues. And the next one, because Captain America shows up at the end of issue 2, spoilers.
Oh, right.
The next one, it has Captain America on the front, but it's a completely different art style, and I'm just like, I hope that they don't change the artist inside, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, I wish the artist inside, if it is the same one that's in issue 1 and 2, would have made a cover, because his shot, or his drawing of Captain America is on point. I love that thing. I'm like, I want to get that and actually frame it.
Yeah, I noticed that at the end of the comic there. Look, a cool cover.
So it sounds like you're going to keep picking up this comic then.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I say we, every couple of issues we'll touch on, what's going on in the comic and stuff like that, see if it's still the same quality as it was in the first 2 issues.
Sure.
All right, with the next comic that you were talking about, Spider-Man, or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, definitely a different type of Spider-Man comic, but I'm really, really digging it. I think it's really good.
Oh yeah, it's like it's definitely more of like his personal life. We get an inside look at that, like having a roommate, since he kind of went downhill after, I guess, people said he was plagiarizing.
Right.
And so he lost his job, and now he's roommates with Boomerang.
Right. So he's got two roommates, right? One of them's
Yeah,
Boomerang, and
yeah.
another one's like I guess the friend that allowed him to stay there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that comic again, drawing and the art is really good, and it really helps with the story because again, the story is a little bit more slower paced than I'm sure people are used to, especially with superhero comics. But I love stories that deal with the other side, the personal life of superheroes, because you get to really get an essence of who they are rather than them just flying around or swinging around being up bad guys. You get cool shots and stuff and drawings in the comic, but then it's just like the story kind of suffers, I think, when it's just a
Yeah.
full-on action comic rather than trying to build the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they do a really good job, like how they draw New York and all that. You know, they put some detail into the buildings and the backgrounds, and that makes it all real cool.
Yeah. The other thing, too, that I liked about this was the fact that they they add a lot of humor into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Spider-Man's always been a bit of a wise ass, always kind of saying, cracking jokes and stuff like that. But you kind of see how he is interacting with his neighbors and stuff like that. He still has the jokes.
Yeah. Or then when they show he comes into his apartment and Boomerang's sitting on the couch in his underwear.
No, not that. Let me just rephrase this for everyone listening. It's like Boomerang is not sitting in the couch in his underwear. He's sitting on the couch in Peter Parker's underwear.
Yeah.
Just that whole scene, the art, the interaction, the way they interact, and how uncomfortable Peter is. You can definitely tell, and then how he just tells him, "Yeah, no, you don't need to give me those back. You can keep them."
And then he's like, you don't need to stand up. You can just stay sitting down. And we have to know it's pink and black tiger underwear.
Right? What the heck?
Yeah, that Boomerang describes as the least restrictive underwear he's ever worn.
Yeah, it looks like a Speedo.
Definitely a Speedo.
So I'm like, how is that? All right, whatever. But that whole thing was hilarious. So yeah, with the comic itself, it's kind of a mystery. You don't really know what's going on. There's a whole thing of one of his neighbors is kind of getting harassed by people.
Yeah.
I don't know, mobsters or something like that. And Peter tries to kind of intervene, and he gets knocked out by one of the henchmen, who apparently is super powerful. And then some disgusting stuff happens with his face in issue 2.
Oh yeah, because he's like, I'm gonna roll with the punch to make it seem like I don't have superpowers, and
Right.
blam, it all goes dark, and he wakes up to his old lady neighbor waking him up.
Yeah, so this guy definitely, whether he has superpowers or not, he's super strong. But yeah, and so the girl that he's trying to help out disappears, but kind of leaves a note for him that there's something waiting for him in his room. And then there's
Her
two
laundry.
kids. Yeah, laundry. Oh, that's what it
laundry
was.
basket.
She's like,
Yeah.
I left you my laundry. If you don't mind, thanks for offering, and blah, blah, blah. Only to find out there's two kids in there.
Well, they're like pink or something, right?
Yeah,
or
they did-
orange.
They're aliens. There's a, one of my favorite scenes in the second issue is where they're saying that they don't know much about the superheroes in that world. Because they're like, oh, you don't know who I am? I'm Spider-Man. They're like, oh, sorry, we're from a different universe, so we don't really know about that. And then later on, he calls on Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, to come babysit while he goes to try to figure out what's going on and where this woman is. And they're like, oh my god, it's the Human Torch, to start geeking out and everything. And Peter's just in there. What?
Even the little brother who doesn't talk much says, "Oh, you're the Human Torch."
Freaking Peter's just in there, just like, oh, I see how it is.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like it's a slow burn comic. Not a, like things happen, but in a sequence where it's just kind of there's a lot of interactions with different characters, and there's more talking than there is, superheroing, I guess you could say. And then the last scene of the second issue is interesting, and I don't know where this is going to go, but you find out that his elderly neighbor is actually some kind of superhero.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Like, she has like this whole costume underneath her clothes and stuff. Peter's like, "No, are you undressing? Don't do that."
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, she
And then she
also has
reveals.
one of the best interactions with Boomerang.
Oh yeah, true. Yep.
Because she comes in to talk to Peter to let him know that the cops are still kind of lingering around, and she sees that the Boomerang in his underwear, and then says something about it's like, I don't think your roommate ever learned how to dress himself.
Needs to take a class on basic adulting.
You're right. No, I think just kind of going back, I think both these series are really good. Just the way they feature a different version of Spider-Man, and even the superior Spider-Man. Like I said, everything is taking a different approach to a character that, of course, is not the same character. So you got Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and I can't remember the name that Octo Octavius goes by, but all different characters, but all having the same persona of Spider-Man, and just seeing how they all take that persona and use it differently. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and like you said, there's not like these comics have a good storyline, so they don't need like some kind of catastrophe happening. Like they don't need
Right.
a mega supervillain coming down to Earth from a different dimension or something. Because the story's good enough, the story carries it, and they're doing a good job so far. Just 2 issues in.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see. I think the next one, I think they all come out like the second half of February. So,
Okay.
two of them come out the same day, and then one of them comes out, I think, a week before.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I like about Comixology is like it'll show you the next issue, and you can pre-order it, and it'll tell you what date it's coming out, so you can kind of expect it and know when you're going to be able to read it.
Sweet.
So we're kind of up on our time here, but I just wanted to touch base a little bit on this other comic called Marvel Comics Presents. It's a comic that used to exist years ago. I want to say the last issue was like 30 years ago. And all it is like an anthology series. So think of it as, like Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, like individual stories. So it's got 3 stories, and they're all self-contained.
Oh, okay.
And in this comic, there's a Wolverine story, a Namor story, Namor, I don't know, and Captain America. Namor, whatever you want to call it. So, the Wolverine one. What's cool about all these? They all take place during. Well, actually, they don't. The first 2 take place during World War II. So Wolverine and Namor's take place during World War II, and then Captain America is more contemporary. But and they're very simple stories. But I like the fact that they can tell just a story that you never would have heard of in the grander scheme of things. Like the Wolverine one, he's part of a battalion in World War II, and they're trying to stop this Nazi group that's kind of that's kidnapped this woman, only to find out the woman's like a sorceress, and the Nazis are forcing her to summon a demon. And that comic actually says to be continued because I don't want to spoil it too much if you want to read it, but they kind of end it at a point where the demon is loose, and Wolverine is kind of tasked to be prepared for when it returns in like 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And then, so that one, I believe in the second issue, it'll continue. The second story was Namor, and his whole thing is how he's helping out the Allies, U.S. specifically, with different battles and stuff like that. He gets sent to fight some Nazis, only to find out while he gets sent away that it was basically to keep him away from the main fight and the fact that they were going to drop the nuke on Hiroshima.
Oh.
So then after that happens, he kind of loses it, and he's just like, "You tricked me." It's like, this is not what I signed up for. And he's like, "What are you talking about? You've been killing all these people." And he's like, "Yeah, they're soldiers. I'm not. I didn't come out here to kill children and women and all this." And so he finds out there's another bomb, and that they're going to drop on Nagasaki. And I don't know my World War II history too well, so I don't know if is when the second bomb was dropped, because I know there were 2 bombs dropped in World War II.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Well, in this comic, he actually stops the bomb.
Damn.
So he flies out there and goes up into the air and detonates it in the air, and it doesn't cause as much damage, and the radiation doesn't really, there isn't a fallout or anything. But the army or the military thinks that he's dead, but you find out that he's not, that he's kind of there helping all the families that have been kind of displaced by some of the ramifications of the bomb. It's an interesting story. And then the last one is Captain America, and that whole story was weird. It's like he gets a flat tire. Tony's telling him that he can send a jet, and Cap is just in there. I was like, no, I'm gonna take my bike across country. I'll see you in New York. And he's like, what are you talking about? You could be here in a few minutes. And he's like, what you're gonna drive and have to stop to get gas and get fast food and diners and all that stuff? And he's like, no, thank you. And Cap's like, no, that's the perfect thing for me.
Yeah.
But this girl comes by on a dirt bike and offers. She says that they've got a bunch of like motorcycle tires at her place, and he can help himself to whatever. So he fixes this bike, and in return fixed her dirt bike. And you find out later that they were waiting for a very expensive part, which wasn't needed. Cap fixed the bike anyways, but the mom of the girl purposely said that they were waiting for that so she wouldn't fix the bike, because apparently the girl wants to be a daredevil.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of turns into one of those old like the more you know, or the G.I. Joe, because Cap goes and talks to the girl and tells her, it's like, look, you got to be who you got to be, but you got to let your mom in, and blah 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 and all this. And I'm just sitting there. I was just like, all right, I enjoyed it. What I thought was great, the art is awesome, and like barely anything happens. There's a cool shot of him just working on the bike, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. So
sounds like a good throwback story.
It's just random, like I said, little anthology stories that you wouldn't get in a grander storyline, because people, you don't have time to tell these stories. You got to keep the story arc of a 6-issue arc to keep going. So, and that's the thing. That's it. It's just an end. That's all you get. And I know for the next issue, it's going to be Wolverine again, but they're going to have the Fantastic Four, and there's one other character that they're going to have. So, and they already showed the cover for the 3rd issue, and I know that one's Wolverine again. So his story might span 3 issues, but then it's Spider-Man, and then it might be Fantastic Four again. So
nice.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun comic, so I definitely recommend picking it up if you just want like little quick stories here and there. So
Sweet.
all right, well, I mean, that's pretty much it for today. We'll have to get some more comics, but I did want to touch base with you with I have a Comixology account for Geekadores. And I was thinking between you and I, we can split up some of the free comics that are on there, because Comixology offers their own original content comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they've got a few. They've got like 4 or 5 now, and it's different genres and stuff like that. So if you just want to go on Comixology, go just look up Comixology originals and go through some of the different series and see if there's some that seem like a better fit for you that you might want to check out, and then we can kind of do Comixology reviews here and there.
Sweet, I'll take a look.
Because I want to I love talking about Marvel and DC and all that, but I want to see if you and I can find some indie comics to read, stuff that's not mainstream. Because give them a little bit of a shout out. I might go on Kickstarter and see if we can kickstart some stuff, and then when we get the comic, we can review it. I've got one that's of a luchador, and so I gotta find it. I don't know where I put it. It came out a while ago, and if it's good, I'll send you. I think I've got both a physical copy and a PDF, so I can send you the PDF, and we can review that on the podcast if I find it. So
sweet.
So yeah. So anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I've been reading the Sandman series, the new one. The Dreaming is by far the best one of all of them. So like, if anyone gets a chance, pick up Sandman: The Dreaming. They just finished issue number 5, and it's a sick comic. It's really good.
They're already on issue 5. I got issue 1, and I was gonna follow the series, but I got backed up here.
Oh yeah, man, they're so good. And the artist, Bilquis Evely, she is so freaking good, man. Like, she does an awesome job in every single page is, it feels like you're dreaming. It's so crazy.
Well, then, if it's on issue 5, after issue 6, they'll probably release the collected series or the collected arc. So maybe I'll pick it up then and kind of catch up. So sweet, yeah, no, definitely Sandman. That whole Sandman universe thing. Have you kept up with the other ones or just that?
I have kept up with the other ones. I'm not like, I don't know, like Books of Magic moves super slow, man. It's like at a snail's pace, and like barely anything happens. It's just kind of like, House of Voodoo, or House of Razuli. That one's kind of the same. It's kind of just, the story's not like knock you out like The Dreaming is. Lucifer is freaking scary, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that comic is freaking scary. I've been following that one, and like, don't read it late at night. The art is scary. Yeah.
I read the first issue and was kind of like, it's all right, but I guess it must get a lot better and a lot scarier.
Yeah, it gets good, and like and the drawings, like there's just some crazy stuff in there, and man, it'll give you nightmares.
All right, man. Well, I guess with that we'll sign off. But thanks for coming on talking comics.
Yeah, no problem, man. I survived the vortex and read some good comics in between.
Well, I'm noticing that we were trying to cut down the podcast, like the different sections, into half an hour stints, so that way we could have a full-on hour podcast. But I don't know. Maybe we should split them up again and have the weekly podcast, because I'm like I could talk an hour about just comics. So yeah, we'll talk about that off podcast.
Cool.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks unless we decide to split them up again, but we'll see. Check us out on Facebook.com/Geekadores, Twitter.com/Geekadores, YouTube.com/Geekadores. I was trying to put up the last podcast on YouTube. Couldn't get it to work right. But this one, I finally figured out what was causing my issues. So this one will be on YouTube. So that's exciting, posting our podcast on there. So yeah, besides that, we will be back in 2 weeks with new content for both just the regular Geekadores section and the comic book section. And I'm hoping, if I can, to announce a giveaway soon. So we'll be able to do a giveaway here in February. So yeah. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Later.